now just about to head over to the OMG studios to see the boy Steers. He's currently doing the Drive Time show. I am the new motorsport correspondent for the OMG radio station, and we're just going to talk about the events of yesterday, the Roman Grosjean crash in the Bahrain Grand Prix. So let's go.
Yeah. It's just the car has gone through the barrier. You see, the car's gone through the barrier, and that's then been sort of used as a wrench, as it were, to literally rip the car in half.
Wow, there's Roman Grosjean.
Unbelievable.
So, to put that into perspective, at the start of the Bahrain GP yesterday, Roman Grosjean rather aggressively went into the site, went into a barrier and went through the barrier at the speed he went through. It's a miracle he is alive today, and I think that is a credit to the safety standards of Formula One today. Wouldn't you agree, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, he hit the barrier at 137 miles an hour. The impact was 53 Gs. And for someone as Grosjean, who was against the halo, it definitely saved his life. 100%.
Yeah, and like 3 years ago, and I must admit, I was not overly for the halo. I understood the need for it, but yeah, absolutely crazy that the halo was the thing that stopped, quite simply, him seriously injuring himself and probably dying on impact. He crawled out of there with, albeit severely burnt hands.
Yeah.
But he's alive.
Well, yeah, I mean...
And he's well. You know, he's not exactly, like, ill as a result of this.
No, I think he'll miss one race.
Yeah, well...
He should be all right for Abu Dhabi. If not, then...
It depends on the burns, I think.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, after that accident, I mean, I'm not a racing driver, but if I was his family...
it was on lap 1, and he cut across Danny Kvyat, and that's just sent him careering into the barrier.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that this happens on a regular basis. You obviously get cars crash in Formula One, but
nothing like that.
Nothing like what happened yesterday. The car quite simply burst into flames and split into 3 bits.
Yeah.
You had the front wing and all that bit all off in a different area, and then you had the back of it that was still on the racetrack side.
Yeah, and the middle of it was through the barrier.
Through the barrier.
And I don't know if any of the listeners saw the pictures of Grosjean. It was literally a fireball, and you can just see him crawling himself over the barrier. It was incredible.
I have no idea how he survived. And you could sort of see when he got out of the car, lifted up, you could see that, obviously, adrenaline, you're out, and it must have felt like hours he was in there. It was only like, what, 15 seconds?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, credit to the FIA and their safety protocols that they have nowadays.
Yeah, and it was just lucky the medical car, as it always does, goes around behind the cars anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does it on the first lap, and then as they start the second, the medical car goes in. So,
yeah. So
you know, it's incredible. But then on lap 3, we had another safety car incident. Lance Stroll, Kvyat involved again.
Yeah.
You know, exactly the same thing, but Lance Stroll flips the car, and that was a 6-lap safety car.
Yeah.
So it was a very impact event.
I think it ended on the safety car as well, didn't it?
It did, because
Sergio Perez.
Yeah, his engine blew up and caught fire.
Yeah, and
he would have got 3rd.
Yeah.
And poor Checo doesn't have a seat next season.
Yeah, how has he not got a seat?
I know, he's so consistent. But it gave Alex Albon 3rd place.
I mean, credit to Albon. You know, he's had he's basically had Pierre Gasly's first year in terms of Red Bull, hasn't he? He's not had a great year.
I mean, to try and get on the same level as Max Verstappen, I mean, he's going to have a very tough task to do.
Whichever driver you put in that seat, you know, is going to struggle. But, you know, looking back at the safety of Formula One yesterday, I think it really proved, you know, had the halo not been there, we wouldn't have Roman Grosjean today.
I mean, there was an
relatively unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, there was an hour delay with it, and you just saw the pictures via Sky Sports F1. Me and my flatmates were talking about it. Would Kevin Magnussen get back in the car, because that's Grosjean's teammate? How would that have affected him? Thankfully, he did go back into the car, but I mean, it was just
it's
ridiculous.
It's incredible. And I've been watching Formula One since I was about 3 years old. You know, since I was young, brought up around it. And where I'm from, you've got all the Formula One teams all around the corner. Like, you've got McLaren, you've got McLaren hat on, literally based Wokingham, I think.
Yeah.
You've also got Williams based in Wantage near Oxford. Mercedes is near Oxford as well. I think it's actually at Silverstone with Racing Point as well.
Yeah.
Red Bull, despite being an Austrian team, is based here in the UK. So, you know, and I think we look at how that happened, and I think it's suddenly hit home that those drivers, 19 remaining drivers, then had to race an hour after that accident.
Yeah, they had to do it from a standing start.
Yeah. What was the reaction from the drivers, by the way, to the initial? Because a lot of them didn't see it until they came back round.
No, I mean, I think Max said in his post-race interview that as he turned the corner, he could see a fireball, and he knew something was up because it got red flagged immediately. On radio, Kimi Raikkonen, he sounded like he was going to cry. It was very. I mean, you can't. As us presenters, we can't put ourselves in that situation and know what they're exactly feeling. But it must have been terrible for each and every one of them, as well as people, mechanics.
I mean,
members of the team
as well.
Yeah. But thankfully, he walked away from it.
Walked away.
That's the thing. The car tore himself apart in a different era of Formula One. That would have been a very, very sad day.
Has that ever happened before? And it's like, I think my dad, he's been watching Formula One since he was a kid. Simon Stone, who does Simon Stone, massive F1 fan as well.
Yeah.
Both saying that's probably worse than Senna's crash, and Senna died.
I mean, that's a bit before my time.
But it's like, it's still modern history in terms of Formula One. That is, a fireball like that hasn't been seen since the 1970s.
No, I mean...
And they shouldn't do that. They're designed not to blow up.
No, I know.
Like that,
I mean, the fact that it tore it apart, and that's where the full fuel tank is. That's pretty much what it was. Is all the fuel, and it just was a horrible thing to see.
I remember seeing it, the camera wasn't actually. It's worth pointing out the camera wasn't on the actual crash at the point. It was like the front of the crew at the queue seeing Hamilton, and you could just see. You just saw the car fly
as the crash happened. Hamilton was turning the corner. Obviously, Hamilton was leading, so
you could see the crash. You could just see a massive fire. And it lit up everywhere, and of course it's a night race. So it's
to be fair, Danny Kvyat in his post-race interview, he turned around and said, from at the start, he was annoyed at Grosjean for what... Basically, he said it was the same thing he did in Austria when he cut across him, but then he saw the outcome of what that is, and all that emotion went away, and he was severely concerned for Grosjean.
Because he hit him,
Yeah.
I think looking back at Formula One and looking at how well it's done with its accidents, and people still going, there'd be a full investigation into it.
Yeah, obviously.
But the safety of those cars, the fact that he's just walked away with pretty much
minor burns.
Yeah. We don't know the degree of the burns because they're still bandaged, but he's still. I don't know if you saw the Instagram video, but he's relatively upbeat about it. He's sort of saying thank you for all the lovely messages, but he seems pretty healthy. Doesn't seem. I mean, I've not physically seen him, or he's been in hospital.
Yeah,
and I imagine he's still had a serious accident.
I think Haas put out that he gets discharged tomorrow.
Well, that's good news.
And I mean, Haas have called up their reserve driver Fittipaldi for the next Bahrain race.
I mean, ironically, it's a great opportunity for a young driver to come in.
Yeah, to showcase his talents. Obviously, it's under unfortunate
really
circumstances, but it also gives him a chance to showcase, because I mean, at the end of the season, Grosjean and Magnussen are going. Leaving Haas.
I mean, Grosjean, I would have thought would have probably retired.
Yeah. But I mean, if that's the case, that's not the way he would have liked, or anyone would have liked him to go out of Formula One on. Do you know what I mean?
I think it just proves that those drivers put their lives at risk just to entertain us.
Yeah.
Put on a show.
It's the same with NASCAR, IndyCar.
Yeah. And I think the whole motoring world is quite in disbelief, to be honest, that he has just walked away.
Yeah, I mean, my mate on Facebook, I shared the crash this morning, and he knows nothing about Formula One, bless him. But he turned around and said, he commented, "How did he survive that? That's incredible."
I think the Halo is
a great innovation.
Also,
in Formula One.
Before we do round off this little chat about what happened yesterday, you can read the article written by Connor Ward. In response to what happened at the weekend, you can see the pictures and see the damage to yourself, because it is quite severe. Probably one of the worst crashes in F1's history, recent history anyway, and definitely in this era of Formula One. But yeah, go and check it out on our Facebook and Twitter page. You can see the article written. But I think special mention has to go to the marshals and the doctors that were there on the scene, the medical team, because they've probably never had to deal with that before.
No.
And to see him just sort of the medical team get out of the car, and go into the inferno.
Yeah,
seeing Grosjean,
there was no hesitation.
you know,
He tried to go in there, and he saw Grosjean at the barrier, and he just helped him out. Like there was
putting
no
his
hesitation.
life at risk
Yeah,
at the same time. So I think this next
I
song,
mean, you had marshals coming across from the other side.
well, there was Marshall standing there, literally
where he went, and
amazed.
it blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think, you know, and it was a weekend where they were recognising, you know, what the marshals do, because they're all volunteers.
Yeah, of course.
Bahrain, worth noting, have some of the best marshals in the world for their Grand Prix.
And it was the first night race of the season.
First night race of the season.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Roman Grosjean. We hope you do recover. A speedy recovery.
Yeah, he got driver of the day.
He
Driver
did.
of the day
He
as
did.
Well
Yeah.
deserved. And I think special mention, as I say, to the medical team and the marshals that put, again, their lives at risk to make the sport safe. And I think this track, I think, is very apt. It's David Bowie and Heroes. Well, thanks, Jonathan, for popping in to talk about Formula One today.
Not a problem. Anytime.
You'll be back soon with a new show.
Yes, I will. Coming in 2021.